This one day I had a lockdown, so my brain was like, what in the fiddlesticks? The teacher was out of the room, so we all sat in a corner. And my teacher, being my teacher, came back in and said, "Why are you sitting stand?" So we all stood up and were brutally traumatized when it was over. The rumors had been that there was a guy with a gun at a school by mine. So we were all terrified at lunch because we had heard a huge bang. But it turns out that it was the truck passing by. The teachers tried to calm us all down, but it was impossible. Everybody at lunch was making their own rumors and said they saw someone creeping by the windows. Like for part 2, story time about why I'm not friends with this girl anymore. So we're calling her Vanessa. I knew Vanessa was selfish, but I didn't really know her in 2nd grade, so I asked to be friends and she said yes. In 3rd grade, I realized we were getting into a lot of fights and she was telling me lies. That cleared up for a little, so we said we were gonna go trick or treating together. We didn't end up going trick or treating together, but we were still friends. A couple days after Halloween, I started hanging out with a lot of other people. I hadn't known she was this selfish, but she started screaming at me to hang out with her and I said no, then she ran away. By Marshmallows. Part 2 of how I randomly had a lockdown. So at this point, we were all screaming our lungs out. I almost cried because during the lockdown, someone I dislike was next to me, and because it was a real lockdown. We all were crying, so I wasn't the only one. Even the boys were crying. And then somebody ripped the most stinky Twinkie fart ever and we all couldn't breathe. Everybody was talking, so me and my bestie thought we were gonna die. We're still all brutally traumatized to this day. It was so horrible, morrible, incomparable that we all were screaming when it was over. By Marshmallows. Story time about how me and my friend almost threw up in the girls' bathroom for a good reason. So we went into the bathroom and we smelled the most stinkiest, linkiest, twinkiest smell ever. We checked the first stall, and there was a piece of poop smeared on that little garbage thingy. It was the most horrible, morrible smell ever. There was a classroom right across from the bathroom, so we ran over there. We told the teacher, and she said she'd call the janitor and told us to just go to the bathroom. So then we were washing our hands and a broom pops in the door randomly and the janitor came in. She started to put her gloves on and she touched the piece of poop. We almost threw up. So we ran back to class. By Marshmallows. Story time about how I spilled my Slurpee into my popcorn. So I went to grab my Slurpee and it tumbled over and fell. I didn't know where it fell, so my sister yelled at me to get it. I had just then realized that it had fell into the popcorn. So I picked it up. Then my sister and her friend went to refill the Slurpee. I thought I was coming, so I stood up. Turns out I wasn't coming. So then I just looked stupid. When I sat back down, the person next to me looked at me so awkwardly. I was so embarrassed. Then my sister came to sit down again and started laughing with her friend. At that point, I was red as a tomato. By Marshmallows.